It's up to you, New York, New York. Good morning, happy Sunday morning. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm Richie here with my co-host, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? What's up, everybody?
Right, good this morning today, man. Got a lot of talk about World Baseball Classic. Last Baseball Classics champion Japan got booted out by Venezuela. Michael Garcia, go ahead, home run, big time victory. Shohei Ohtani, arguably the best player in baseball, unless if it's the guy on my avatar, who I'm going to be a little partial to,
Mhm.
makes the final out. Yamamoto lit up the Dodger ace, definitely having a tough time. You know, this is preseason, no matter how you slice it, whether it's the spring or whether it's this phenomenal tournament. But
Mhm.
guys still working out the kinks. But this is huge, Idris. Not too many people had Japan missing the Final Four. This is the first time since this tournament's inception that Japan did miss it. Shout out to Venezuela. Great deal of major league talent on that squad. And it's cool to see teams like Italy and Venezuela in this when you have the typical favorites like the United States, like the Dominican Republic, and of course Japan. One of them is gone, and another one will be gone after today as well, because Dominican Republic and USA have a massive, massive showdown. What are your thoughts on Japan getting the boot?
Well, I had Japan going to the final. USA, Japan. I'm
As did
surprised.
I.
Yeah, Venezuela. Yeah, great players. I mean, come on, but you're talking Japan, known for pitchers. And Otani. There's no words, dude.
Yeah,
Japan is.
and I don't know how much of Otani not being available to
Yeah,
pitch
right.
that was a stip in this whole tournament.
Hmm.
But Yamamoto, who was really good in the last couple of World Series, going back to the victory over the Yankees, or even more recently against the Toronto Blue Jays, coming up big.
Yeah,
Uh, it's a tournament style
yeah.
situation. It's a short period for everyone to gear up and do it. So I made this example when the United States lost in shocking fashion to Italy, who is still undefeated and a game away from the
That's
final. They play tomorrow.
that's crazy. Italy, that's crazy.
Yeah, Francisco Cervelli doing a great job. I mean, and they have baseball talent. It's not like they
They
don't
do.
have stars over there, but I'm
But they're not,
sorry.
they're not the DR. They're not Japan. They're not the
No,
United States. You know what I mean? They're not Cuba.
it's shocking. It's shocking.
You know, it's
And it- and
insane.
and, and it's crazy to see Austin Wells, Yankees starting catcher on the DR. I believe his grandmother is traced to Dominican roots on that side.
Yeah,
This is something that I would never know if it was not for a tournament of this stature.
yeah,
Because guys could go different ways. with picking allegiance to a nation. And
yeah.
you have to understand too that not everyone is going to be at the top of the list for the United States team. So I have no issue with some of these other guys playing for other
No,
countries that where you could, track their bloodline. I have no issue with that.
and it's like if you look at a guy like Bernie Williams, former Yankee, and you wouldn't know his background. You look at his name, you look at his face, okay, but when
Buddy,
you
when he first came up and he had them geeky glasses, I thought he was like Arthur Ashe's kid or something.
right, but when you read up on him, you're like, wow,
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
yeah. I mean, I like
Yeah,
it. I mean,
Bernie.
I have no
Sorry to
problem with
interrupt
people.
you.
Yeah,
Bernie
yeah,
used to
yeah,
play in Puerto Rico. Had a very
yeah.
intense competition back
Yes,
when with the different towns playing each other. And I'm with my dad, and I got to see Bernie play in the off season in a
yeah,
local tournament, which is like wow. You're
yeah,
talking about a top three center fielder in MLB on the premier team in MLB at the time. And that's the beauty of the sport is that people lose sight of you take islands like the Dominican, like Puerto Rico, how serious they take this. And,
yeah,
even in defeat, shouts out to Puerto Rico. They had a lot of adversity coming into this tournament, whether it be the Francisco Lindor injury, the insurance situation. They showed a lot of heart, albeit
yeah,
in defeat against the Italians. So shout out Puerto Rico on a good showing and showing a lot of heart.
yeah. I agree. And with players playing for their country, I don't have a problem with that. Yes, you play in the United States, you play for, you know, Major League Baseball, but I don't have a problem with people playing for their country. I really don't. I wish they wouldn't because I want us to dominate. But it's the nature of the sport, and I don't have a problem with them doing that. And I like it. I mean, I like what Italy is doing, undefeated. Which you would have told me when you started, hey, Italy's gonna be undefeated. No, you would have told me. I would be like, nah, you
My
crazy.
late grandmother Nancy would be all in all her glory if a tournament like this was around when she
Yeah,
was still alive. My grandmother would be over the moon and
shout out to
playfully messing with my other grandmother Maria with
her.
Italy's recent victory over Puerto Rico. Like, um, yeah, it's good for the game, I think,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you know baseball is not just centered in the United States. You have so much talent. You have more Canadian players coming into the league now. Of course, Canada will forever be a hockey country, but you have Italy now, even if it's second generation, you have some guys that are first generation Italians, born there coming over. Like look at Cervelli. Cervelli is the
yeah.
manager. He was a catcher for the Yankees
Mm-hmm.
and the Pirates. I think it's gonna help draw interest in European countries, other countries for that matter. I mean, you look at Japan,
Yeah.
a lot of MLB players enjoy playing there. They love the passion of the Japanese fans. And what I'm getting
It's like,
at is that it essentially is the love of the game. And I
mm-hmm.
like seeing it on a world scale where you're getting so much interest. And I do think that you're going to have more people that live in these various countries that are going to be caring a little more about what MLB's going on because they're associating these players now with their countries a little bit firmer because it's like anything else when you look at Cuba, especially Castro era, the
Yeah,
sacrifices that these young men had to make just to get out of the country,
yeah,
to for that baseball dream, you
yeah,
know in that regard, those that were born in Puerto Rico, obviously an advantage being a United States Commonwealth where they didn't have to go through the craziness that someone in the DR, someone in Cuba would have to go through. But and I try to drive that home with people that this is not just a game to these young men. Like this is life. This is
it's their
how they
livelihood.
made it out. This is how they're
Yeah,
taking care of their families. And that's why the
you know,
passion is there.
it's just like how with black kids, how they will use sports, football, basketball, like boxers, you know, and I say baseball is truly the one sport that's the melting pot because with baseball you have people from everywhere. Like you got people from Asia, you got people from the Latin country. You got people, you got players from everywhere playing one sport. Where in basketball, you got Europeans in there. You don't see a lot of
And
Asians.
no doubt that legends that have gone before,
Yeah,
like a Roberto Clemente, like a
right.
Jackie Robinson, like a
Yep.
Larry Doby, you
Yeah.
know that these guys would be smiling to
Oh man.
see the inclusion in such a beautiful game.
Yes. That's what makes the
You know,
WC so great, man. In baseball,
and
that's
I
what
must admit, bro, I must admit, like, even though I was aggravated that the Americans lost to Italy,
yeah.
there was a part of me that was smiling at the same time because all I could think of was how fired up my grandmother would have been. Now, this
You
is a
know,
woman that I have not laid eyes on since
yeah,
I was 13 years old, but certain people will be etched in your memory for as long as you live, and she was that kind of person. So,
yeah.
um, shouts out Grandma Nancy. Unbelievable. I
You
remember
know,
after we unfortunately lost my grandmother, Italy made
uh,
the final in the World Cup, and my
oh
father's
really?
going berserk.
You know that.
And I'm like, and I'm looking at my dad like a little sus. I'm like, Dad, with all due respect, I know you miss grandma, but it's kind of fresh. But since when did you watch soccer?
Hey, it ain't about it's not about the game. It's about the field.
Yes, sir. But I remember when
Yeah,
Roberto Baggio missed a very makeable kick.
yeah,
I was young. I
yeah,
was very young, but I remember the feel. It was Italy played Brazil that year.
yeah.
I remember
They
Brazil
did.
ultimately won, but I remember my dad was on that Italy train for that month. He was fired up.
You know something? I'm happy for Italy as a person who grew up in the Bronx, and where I grew up is now it's not Italian dominated, but when I was coming up, it was ran by the mob, and we were one of the very few black families that they actually accepted. We go into the store and they actually respected us. We were poor, and I've always had this love for Italy and Italians because I always say I tell people, coming up it was rough. I had my mother, my father was gone, and the Italians taught me. That's how I got my name Bosco. They taught me a lot. They taught me how to be a man. They taught me how to be a fighter, and I always had that respect. They taught me leadership, so I've always respected Italians. I never had any, no beef. They raised me basically, So to see them doing what they're doing, I mean, I want us to win. I ain't gonna lie, I want us to win. But if Italy wins it, hey, the flag is going out on my porch. The flag's going out on my porch.
It's
I got
funny
it.
how Dorney, who's Irish American,
Yeah,
he married a Dominican woman who actually went to high school with my cousin. It was a small world.
uh,
But Dorney has always had a love, like even for Puerto Rico, growing up
yeah,
at my grandmother's house.
yeah.
So Dorney is that guy, and I've said this on the show before. The Victor
Mm.
Cruz touchdowns. Dorney suddenly produces this Puerto Rican flag that you didn't even know where it came from. The 9/11, 9/12 games that we go to, Frankie Lindor hitting 3 home runs, a career best for him when him and Giancarlo Stanton were having a little show out moment against each other. Mets got the
Yeah,
best of us that day. And you see Dorney getting on camera for ESPN with his Puerto Rican flag and his Matt Harvey jersey, like just fired
oh
up.
man.
And everybody's looking at this guy like,
Like,
okay,
who is
kind of like that when you said that Steve Buscemi thing, they're like, okay, this guy's a problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My man, Steve
Yeah,
Buscemi.
yeah. But no, it's cool. And it brought back a lot of good, like positive memories. Like I remember as a youngster coming up,
Yeah,
like we had a Jewish lady that was a neighbor. My grandmother Maria, Angie Marino, rest in peace. This beautiful person, Italian woman, always
yeah,
just shared. These women were like besties, like the Golden Girls almost, like sitting in the concrete courtyard, chopping it up over coffee. And
yeah,
uh, this tournament, that game particularly, kind of brought back like very like cool memories as a young guy,
yeah,
just seeing this,
yeah,
and where I'm from, it was community always, and everybody treated everybody the way that one would want to be treated.
Yeah.
I could be hella drunk as a young knucklehead walking in the black neighborhood with nothing to worry about. Same would go
Right.
on the other side of the tracks.
Yep.
And it was kind of looking out for everybody kind of deal. You know what I mean? I'm very thankful that I had those
Yeah.
experiences coming up. I think in a lot of ways it molded me in
Yeah.
who I aspire to be still, even as a grown ass person. You always try to get better. You always try to be better. But
Yeah.
this WBC is good stuff, man, and I'm
I know,
genuinely
man.
enjoying it. But this is interesting here. The buzz
Yeah.
of Soto and Judge going head to head. I mean, these two tore up the league in the manner of Maris and
Yeah.
Mantle, the Eminem boys, going back to that magical 61 season. What Judge and Soto were accomplishing two short seasons ago, 2024 Yankees winning the pennant. They fell short in the World Series. Now Soto
Yeah.
stayed in New York, got the big
Yeah.
bag in Queens. Um, these two have kept it very professional. They've talked highly about one another. It is a business and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
But Judge took less to stay with the Yankees. Soto took more to leave the Yankees. Uh, Everyone's entitled to run their career the way they want to. And
Right.
it's easy to talk as a Yankee fan, but I don't think too many of us would have turned down that Mets bag.
I would, because I'm not going to the Mets. But I know what you mean, man. I'm clouded. I'm clouded. But yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Angie
I hear
Marino, shout out here, Mama Eunice. Angie Marino taught me to wash clothes diapers by hand and hang them in the clothesline. Yeah, they had the clothesline. Oh, you already know that. Yeah, yeah. Angie was a sweet lady. Rest in peace, Angie. Her grandson was quite the hockey player for quite some years.
you.
Her grandson Joseph, and it was wild. So like, we were all born within like a week of each other.
Yeah.
So everybody was kind of like on the same vibe.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, just a smile and a shout out to where I grew up and how I grew up. But those people were day-to-day fixtures in my life. Taught me a lot about just the right way to be, man. That's the best way to put it, just the right way to be. But I will
We
say
grew
this:
up.
you
Mhm.
mentioned Mafia Town and such, and I got news for you, bro.
Yeah.
With a Mafia presence, also
Yeah.
where I'm from, and even some
Yeah.
people that were involved. All I'm gonna
Yeah.
say is this: I would rather deal face to face with those guys any
Yeah.
day of the week than these clowns on both sides in Washington. I'll tell you that much.
Got that right. Yeah, but the WBC, I think it's great. I think it's a great prelude to the baseball season. I like that. I really do. And we know it's more like a preseason game, but these guys actually go out there and play. It's better than an All Star game. These guys go out there and play. I don't think anything's better than the NHL All Star game. I think that's still the best because they actually fight and everything in there. But the WBC is great competition. You get to see the
Yes,
best of the
indeed.
best go against
Yes,
each other
indeed.
early. Yeah, that's it.
Mama Eunice, huge my presence in that town. Yes, indeed. But one thing I will say, a lot
Mhm.
of good lessons taught, and say what you want. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to theirs.
Mhm.
One thing I will say is I learned a lot about just the right way to be a man, so to speak,
Yeah,
with just watching. That's all I got.
yeah.
You know what I mean, and being around certain things. One thing
Yeah.
I
You know,
always admired is you know, they had morals, something that you don't
yeah.
see anymore. Morals,
Right.
you
Loyalty,
know, they
family.
treated old people the right way. They
Yeah.
valued family.
Yes. And I say with Italians, and I tell people, I said Italians raised me. They really did. They helped my mama. My mama didn't have to do any favors. I mean, they just latched on to
Morals,
those
Idris,
more
morals.
rules, more rules. So let's go, Italy. Get to that final. I'm pulling for y'all, man. Let's
Most
do it.
interesting thing, and before we move it along, um, I remember when I interviewed you on a show when you first started joining the show regularly.
I gotta find that
You
show
said
too.
that your nickname Bosco,
Yep.
actually came from an
Yep.
Italian, and the name stuck with you for all your years, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, because the way it happened, I used to drink the Bosco syrup. I still got a whole bottle of it, and I was the darkest one,
You need to
and
be
then
your pitch. You need to be the pitch man.
I know, man, and we were poor, but I was the nerdy kid, but I could fight, and they liked the way I handled myself. And the guy just said, "Come here, Bosco," out the blue, and I'm like, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "Hey, you, come here, you the black kid." Now we're all black, but I'm the darkest one, but I got it. So I'm like, "Yeah, you didn't come here, Bosco," and he's like, I see you drinking that syrup." He said, "Yeah, it's
Ah.
bad for your teeth, right?" I like, "Yeah." He said, "I'm gonna start calling you Bosco." And the day stuck. The day stuck. The day stuck. So
Oh, no lie, no lie on this one. We lived in a town where any grown up would address any issues with kids. All adults were looked like parents and respected. That's a big fact. I got a quick story here, and then we'll move it along. This wasn't my team. I played with his older brother. Shouts out Nashawn Carter. Shouts
yeah.
out Troy. Rest in peace, Troy Carter. Uh, Troy played for my father along with my cousin Mario. My father
Okay.
stayed on and coached after my Pee Wee run was over, and he coached my cousin's teams as well. Troy got upset in practice, as kids do, threw his
Hmm.
shit on the floor, walked off the field.
Yeah.
Troy's mother was not one to play with.
Oh,
Troy's father, I remember when Nashawn was in our backfield, when anytime he broke one, his father would be running on the sidelines damn near as fast as Nashawn.
yeah.
Um, Long story short, they called my dad,
Yeah.
and my dad flat out said, he needs to apologize not to me. I know he's a kid. Things happen. He needs to apologize to his teammates.
Right.
Man,
Right.
sorry. But this is a different era. Let's just say that let's just say that when Troy came back to practice, he was walking a little
Yeah.
slower for a few days. Different era. His parents did not play, but then again, none of them did.
Yeah. I
And you
got you.
disrespected any parents in our era, you got it twice.
Oh, you got it twice, dude. You
You
got
ain't
it from
lying.
whoever you disrespected, and you got it from your parents, or you
You ain't
got it from
lying,
both
bro.
parents.
Absolutely. And that's something that I miss in today's society. It's like, you don't have to be my dad for me to respect. It don't have to be my grandma for me to respect. It's something that unfortunately has been lost. And that comes with community too, because like I said, where I grew up, it was
Mhm.
it was everybody's kids. My dad's door was open for all his players, and it didn't matter what day of the week it was, it didn't matter what was going on. My old
You
man
know,
at a young age wanted me to understand how fortunate I was, and he wanted me to understand that a lot of these kids didn't have the luxury of having parents like mainly dads, because the women were strong, but I'm talking about dads.
yeah,
And a lot of life lessons and,
yeah.
and some that I treasure. So shouts out to you, Dad, and shouts out to all of them in that era. Just a good time to be a kid, man. Good time to play sports. Just a good time to be alive.
We used to call it the village, man. That was when the village
Absolutely.
raised the children. Now the village can't do anything, you know, and it's a shame because
Absolutely.
now the kids are out of control, and
And
then running.
you look at the results. Not every kid gets saved, unfortunately.
Right.
But one thing that I know my dad is a huge part of his legacy that he was always proud of is that he loved when his players post athletics did bigger things in life, and the percentages are on the W for my dad. And
Yeah.
I would be thrilled if I accomplished half of what he did in terms of having that kind of influence on people. So
Right.
I always tell people I shared my dad with many, but that's his
Yeah.
legacy. To heck
Yeah.
with anything else he did. That's his legacy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what it's
Much
about, man.
respect, much
Sure.
respect. That's why when I could reflect on him, I'm never really sad these days. I smile a
Yeah.
lot and I'm thankful.
Right. That's the best way, man.
All right,
A
we're going to talk
legacy.
about Big Blue.
Big
Show me
blue.
the Mooney. With the recent wide receiver additions in the Giants roster, is the team worried about Leaks week one availability? Idris Salam, what are your thoughts?
No, I think we're fine. I think Harbaugh is building depth. I think he knows what he's walking to. Our number one guy, Malik Neighbors, may or may not be ready for week one. So I think he's just building. um, a foundation and say, okay, let's have something in place now. So when we get our guy back, he can jump right into the groove. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried.
Yeah,
We got to.
I share your sentiments. I mean, he's ahead of schedule as his scat supposedly.
Yeah,
Scat's injury happened a little later than Leaks.
yeah,
Um, the thing, the thing is here, particularly talking about the wide receiver room, is you bring in veterans, guys that with bigger opportunities in the past have produced and can produce in the future. You know, Austin and Mooney, two
yeah,
veteran signings, also going to push Darius Slayton to be more consistent or to
yeah.
fall back, so to speak. I know that there's a lot of buzz, even created by myself and other Giant fans, about a want for Jeremiah Love, the superstar running back in the making out of Notre Dame.
Hmm.
But I said it off air to you, I'll say it here. Patrick Ricard, Pancake Pat,
Yeah,
one of the best fullbacks over the last 20 years in the NFL, a traditional fullback, a guy who picks up blitzes, a guy who's physical, a guy that if you need a hard yard, he'll get it for you.
downhill guy.
Um, yes, sir. In every aspect of the word, old NFL style in that regard. There's very few remaining in the league. He is
Right,
one of the premier ones, and the Pro Bowls speak for it. A big
right.
staple in John Harbaugh's offenses so many years, even though, people will remember and continue to watch Derrick Henry out in Baltimore. The guy blocking in front of him was a big part of that too. I mean, you look, take it
Yeah,
back to another generation, Emmitt Smith doing his thing. Yeah, and it was beautiful. But remember, Moose Johnston was that dude.
you had Lorenzo Neal blocking for Chris Johnson in Tennessee. You
Low
had him
Neal
block.
was no joke. And I
So
remember when we had Barnum Floyd on here talking about how scary Lorenzo Neal was.
he looked at my. Whoo, that guy. He looked like he knocked you out
No,
without the hand.
those fullbacks are for real. And the thing I love about Ricard coming in is that he takes it as a responsibility
Yeah.
to teach the young guys how to be an everyday pro. And I think what really I'm trying to get at here is that while I would absolutely do a backflip if Jeremiah Love is a New York Giant joining Camp Scatterbo, you
Mhm.
also have to take into account that this team still needs another talented linebacker to put next to Tremaine Edmonds. Micah McFadden coming back. I'm happy he gets another chance. Not a short thing. You
Yeah.
need more talent. You need more speed. You need sideline guys who can also help out the third layer of the defense. And
Yep.
that's why, names like Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are probably the top
Yep.
priority on the Giant list, where Love might be the next wave. Now, if the Giants get a decent enough package, move back to maybe 8, 9, or 10, something like that, perhaps Love is the pick. But I think when even a guy like Mansour Delane, who in my opinion is the
Mhm.
best corner in this draft, you have to get the right pick at the right value. Where Delane is going anywhere from 9 to 12 in the draft. It all depends on the whole. If the Giants don't have to move back too egregiously and still can get one of their top three targets, but
Yeah.
at 5, if Sonny Styles is sitting there, don't
You got to go.
overcomplicate it. Take the best player on the board. This guy's a freak athlete. This guy's going to be special.
That's what Harbaugh said. He said we're going to take the best player. And I think we're sitting at 5. Said this previous show. I think sitting at 5, I think we're in a great position because again, we don't need a quarterback. We can get a receiver later.
And a
So,
good thing we don't, because there ain't many in this draft.
amen. So we're sitting good because we don't need that. We can just go across like we can say, okay, we can pick what we want or what we need at
Mhm.
5, and we can parlay it because someone's going. There's going to be some sucker say, "Hey, we'll give you a da 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 and da 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 and da 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 for that." Okay, bet. Like the
And
Jets.
like I said, Idris, it's got to be the right value where you feel that you could get two guys that are going to be contributors right away. Because if you're going to even remotely take a suggestion about moving away from one of these blue chippers, you want to
Yeah.
make sure that whoever you pick first is going to be a day one starter making an impact. And there's
Right
no
on.
guarantee in the draft, no matter how much due diligence and research you do.
Hmm.
But I will say that even with this receiver room,
Yeah.
obviously leak is leak. Healthy leak is a 1,500
Easy.
yardage guy receiving wise, anywhere between 7 to 10 touchdowns a year, if not more.
Yeah.
Um, but the fight for number two, I don't necessarily see it as a big fight. It's just talking about the guys on the roster now. I don't know if we're going to
Yeah,
get a blue chip kid to put an opposite league. That would be dirty. But the point is, these guys are going to be fighting for reps, but they're also going to be in and out of games where you're going to be seeing a lot of guys that maybe get 350, 400 yards. You're not going to have one particular guy going for 850, 900 yards. It's going to be a committee effort opposite of Leak, assuming that they don't get a stud opposite of Leak. You got a lot of options. This is one of the few years going into a draft where I could
yeah.
make a case why five different things could make sense. But for the first time in a long time, I genuinely do not know what the fuck the New York Giants are going to do.
I don't either. That's why I say I'm going to trust the coach. I
Got
don't
that
know.
right.
I don't know either. He has a plan, and I like that he brought back Pinnock. I really do. 'Cause I thought Pinnock was a pretty good.
Yeah, shouts
Uh,
out Jason Pinnock.
yeah, I'm
2023
glad.
was a great season for him.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Week Martindale and Brian Dable fell out as friends. We ended up bringing Shane Blowen. He sucked, and it really hurt the performance of Pinnock. I think Pinnock, in a more aggressive defense, is going to be able to be the player he was in 23. He loves New York. He wasn't
yeah,
gone long. He came back right away when he had an opportunity. He's taking
yeah.
a veteran minimum contract, and
Yeah.
I like it. I
I
am
love.
really happy about what the New York Giants are fortifying here as their foundation for a much healthier way to run a roster. And I'm also kind of stoked about Dawn Aponte upstairs with the financials.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yes. That's why I say, do. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm gonna trust the process because I like what I see. I think, like you had mentioned a few days ago, me and you were talking on the phone with. He's bringing back guys who wants to play. He's bringing guys from Baltimore who want to play. He's bringing back Giants who want to be there. And hey,
No
I like to
doubt.
see people who want to be there. And with Pinnock and Micah, they want to be there. They couldn't win anywhere else. Well, they came back to New York. They came back to New York. So hey, I'm cool. Let's go. I don't know what we're doing, but let's go.
Moving along to the NBA for a minute. Knicks one game out, two in the loss column of the Boston Celtics for the two seed. The one encouraging thing, I looked at the Knicks' remaining schedule down the stretch. Now, any given day, anybody in the NBA can beat you. So I want to make that clear. But I would say that just based on expectation, talent, where they are now, the two toughest games remaining on the New York Knicks schedule is a final meeting with the Boston Celtics and a final meeting with the Houston Rockets. The rest of the schedule is very achievable,
Mhm.
where if the Knicks, let's say, win all their games and only lose one of those two, whether it be Boston, who the Knicks have beaten two out of three times, but granted, Jason Tatum didn't play in any of those games. Um, if they could, if they could, even if they lose both those games, but if they win the rest, I think the Knicks
Yeah,
are going to find themselves in the two seed.
I can roll with that. I can roll with that. Yeah.
But they're two in the loss column right now of the Celtics, uneven amount of games played in terms of the overall NBA regular season schedule for each team. One game out, two in the loss column. But I did peek the Celtics schedule. I think the
Mhm.
Celtics have a little bit of a tougher road down the stretch. So that is beneficial for the Knicks to get that home court advantage for not just round one, but also round two. But if round one were to happen today, and it's literal decimal points that are separating the two Florida
Mhm.
teams, it would be the Miami Heat right now and not the Orlando Magic. And I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Orlando Magic. I know that a lot of my viewers are part of their fan base, but I would rather play the Magic than the Heat. Listen, Spo is
Yeah.
that dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will definitely have my guards up and a little bit of a tense worry if we do get Miami in round one. Miami, but I also want a little bit of revenge for what went down a couple of years ago.
Got that right.
I
I
hate the
still want.
Miami Heat.
Dude, I still want revenge from the '90s, dude.
Just that one season. We played them, what, four different series, won three out of four. But the one time they got us, that one burned because, oh my God, that particular Nick team, John Stark, six man of the year. You had LJ, you still had Oakley,
Yeah.
you had Buck Williams. Oh God, PJ Brown, go to hell.
Yeah.
PJ Brown's a
Uh,
good person too, but it just, the moment that he threw friggin' Charlie Ward, Pat Riley orchestrated that. I don't care what anybody says.
yeah, and shouts out to Mitch, Big Mitch, 22 rebounds over the night, man. The hard way,
Big
man.
Mitch, just a guy that I really like, man.
You know, he's one of them guys.
He dedicated last year's playoffs to his late mother who had passed during the season.
Yeah,
Mitch is just a good dude, bro. And I'm happy that he continues to avoid being traded and stay on the Knicks. He is definitely part of the Knicks DNA and what the Knicks do.
because Mitch is the guy. He's not going to get you 15, 20 points. He's going to get the rebound. He's going to clog the hole. He's going to get you the block shots. He's going to throw out the ball. I mean, he's
Does
a
the dirty
smart.
work,
He's a smart player. He knows his deficiencies. He can't shoot from the free throw line. I hope he works on
but
the
he does
offense.
have a knack for making clutch free throws. Figure that
But he
shit.
makes clutch free throws though.
And
Hey, he makes
it's not a lack of practice. The man really does try.
he tries. Yeah, he's just not chucking it up there. So I like him, and he makes no excuses. Yeah, I can't shoot free throws. He knows it, but he does everything. He does the stuff that I expect Cat to do.
He's everything you want a teammate to be, whatever sport you're playing. That's the kind of guy that you'll run through a wall for because you know he's going to do it for you. Humble,
Right.
not a selfish bone in his body when it comes to playing the game of basketball, and
Um,
just a quintessential teammate. Wherever he plays moving forward, I would love to see him just always be a Nick. But whatever happens with Mitch, he's that
yeah.
guy that when you bring him in, you know that you're getting an unselfish player that's going to do anything for the team, a
Mhm.
la guys like Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason. Rest in
Win
peace,
first.
Mason.
Yeah, win first. That's the
Damn
thing. Win
right.
first.
Speaking of
Yep.
the NBA today, Knicks are home rather for Golden State.
Mhm.
No, this is a game the Knicks are supposed to win easily.
Yeah.
But stay tuned
Yeah,
because
the
the
Knicks
Knicks have
still.
had a propensity for playing around too much with teams they're supposed to mash.
Yeah, and Golden State's hurting. We got to get them out
Yes,
of there.
they are. Yes, they
Yeah,
are. No excuses. Take care of business today, Knicks. These are the games you need. You're much better at home this year than on the road. You don't want to be in a situation where you have to be the lower seeded team, especially a place like Boston. And it's not that the Knicks can't play in Boston and whatnot, but I'll tell you one thing that Boston can play in New York, and we've seen it.
yeah,
So of course, in a perfect world, I'm hoping that Boston has like a crazy demise in round one. Every fan of every team wants the easiest path forward. It ain't gonna be that way. But truthfully, what is when you're a Knicks fan?
right.
But I'm looking forward to these play. I'm looking forward to these playoffs, and I am praying that the Orlando Magic and the Knicks somehow run into each other. But I don't know if it's going to go down that way because if the Knicks get the two and Orlando is in that 5-4 matchup,
Mhm.
it will be Orlando and Cleveland again. And Orlando has not had the best luck against the Cleveland Cavaliers over recent time, where Miami would draw Boston, and that would be an exciting one because Miami and Boston have had some great series over the years.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to mention Miami, but I got faith in us, man. I got faith in us. Spo will get that team up as he does every year.
I believe
You know,
Spo is the best coach in the NBA
I do
right
too.
now, despite
I,
only winning championships with LeBron James. I believe that Spo gets the absolute most out of whatever he's thrown. He proved that a few years back when the Heat bounced us out of the playoffs,
yeah.
and we were the more talented team, no question about it.
And he's got to manage personality because
Yes, he
he had
does.
some people down there, but he does. You're not going to rattle him. You're not going to put. And I think that's a tribute to Pat Riley. He's like, no, it's my team. This is my team.
Well,
You
Pat
know.
Riley picked a coach in his own image, so to speak, and Spo fits the Riley mold. Van
Mhm.
Gundy had some of the attributes of the Riley mold, but Spolstra aesthetically looks more like Riley. Whereas Van Gundy, if he wasn't an
Right.
NBA coach, you thought he might have been working at Payless or some shit. And shouts out Jeff Van Gundy, all heart. I missed that era in Knicks basketball. Jeff Van Gundy was a damn good coach.
Tough guy. He was a tough guy. Like,
Yes.
look, you gonna push me
Yeah.
around.
No, sir. He was there for all the smoke, just like his players were.
Yeah, that's how I feel about
Um,
Spo. Spo's
yeah.
a more diplomatic guy. Look here, I ain't gonna argue with you. This the way it is.
And of course, Steve Kerr. I got to name drop Steve Kerr as one of the best coaches in the league, too. But that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Big matchup, OKC Minnesota today. I think that's going to be an exciting game. Who do you like there today, Idris? I think you're going to see quite the show off output between Anthony Edwards and SGA. I'm taking OKC by about 5 to 7 points, but I think it's going to be an exciting game. To the betting heads, Dante DiVincenzo will hit north of 2 3-pointers today.
Of course, the right pick would be OKC, but you know what? I don't like OKC.
I don't like him either. I do like SGA though.
I like SGA, but I feel with SGA, and I'll be oh yeah, you know SGA. No, I ain't hating on it. I feel SGA gets a lot of. I mean, LeBron gets a lot of calls because he flops, but SGA he's right behind him. You can't even look at SGA and they're gonna call a foul. He travels all the time. I'm going with
Welcome to the
Minnesota.
show, Mythic Plague. Welcome to the show. He's taking mini. No surprise there.
Yeah, I
I'll
am
tell
too.
you what, former Nick Julius Randle, I like the way he fits into what Minnesota does.
Mm-hmm.
Had we kept Randle, I don't think it would have been the same result in New York because it's kind of different when you change jerseys. But when you were the 1A, the main option, similar to Amare Stoudemire prior to them trading for Melo, it never translates the same way if you're still on the team, unless in a rare case, like say San Antonio, where you had like an aging David Robinson mentoring the young lion Tim Duncan at the time, or a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who, even though he had a lot of pride, knew how to take somewhat, even if it was only a couple of inches back
Yeah,
for an emerging star, Magic Johnson. Speaking of Magic,
yeah.
um, I want to speak on something when talking about greatness because we forever and a day are always going to see these memes and all these stats and all kinds of argumentative stuff about LeBron James, Michael Jordan, in so many people's estimations, the two best players in NBA history, and that is super subjective. I'm going to say this once and once only, and I'm going to put a knock on both these guys just to make it fair.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Michael Jordan that changed his trajectory is when he literally complained to David Stern about the way that he was getting tortured by the Detroit Pistons physically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some rules were changed on the behalf of Michael Jordan. Am I a Jordan fan? No, I'm a Knicks fan. I can't be a
Right,
Jordan fan. I respect what Michael Jordan brought to the game of basketball. I respect his intensity. I
right.
respect just what it required to beat that man in a regular season game, let alone a playoff game. Fast
Yeah,
forward to LeBron, I'll throw a dart at him too. Um, the team hopping.
yeah,
I can't really hear people when they're like, "Oh, he never had a great coach for too long." Well, how could you when you're always changing destinations? If he would have
yeah,
stayed in Miami with Spo, he'd have a lot more rings.
yeah.
Um,
Gonna be in charge.
LeBron hit the ground running straight out of high school. Few have done it. Few have done it at the level that he has done it. The longevity, like him or not, he's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. I think Mike accomplished more in a shorter amount of time. I think retiring, coming back speaks a lot about what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to play in Washington. Some people know this fact, others may not. He donated his earnings in his first
Mm-hmm.
year in Washington to the 9/11 Widows Foundation. Michael Jordan
Mm-hmm.
did that.
Yep.
He didn't have to play. I think him playing was a gift to the NBA fans who loved him and for a generation that might have missed his Chicago years.
Well, he
If
said
the
he
late
came
Jerry
back.
Krause, go ahead, I'm sorry.
He said he came back because he wanted to prove that he could still play. So he didn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so he didn't have to come back. He
And he had
came
an
back.
accident in he had an accident in year in I think it was year one in Washington. It might have been year two.
Yes,
It
with year
was year
one.
it was year one where he was a big cigar aficionado guy. And when he he accidentally cut one of his fingers very deep,
Hmm.
and it affected the trajectory of the Wizards. And he had that knee thing. The
Yeah.
Washington Wizards, at one point before the Jordan injury, were primed to be a top two team in the East that year. And that was with a lot of nobodies. No disrespect to the people on that team, maybe with the exception of Rip Hamilton, who ended up having a good career in Detroit. Um, the point I'm making, Idris, is in terms of the comparison, I hate it for so many reasons.
Hmm.
Michael Jordan should be compared to other phenomenal scoring guards who also were good on the ball defenders. A name that comes to mind is Dwayne Wade.
Hmm.
I consider Dwayne Wade the third best shooting guard in the history of the sport behind the late Kobe Bryant, who I would have at two. Then it's subjective. Do we consider Jerry West more of a shooting guard or a point guard? That's subjective. Pete
Right.
Maravich at minimum has to get some love. And
Pete
so does
Maravich.
Rick Barry. Rick
Yeah.
Barry is the only guy in the NBA Finals who averaged more points in a series than Michael Jordan. Now, granted, it was only one NBA Finals.
Hmm.
Um, Guys that should be compared to LeBron. There's different levels and layers to it. Scottie
Hmm.
Pippen because of the skill set.
Hmm.
Magic Johnson because of the skill set. Oscar Robertson because of the skill set.
Hmm.
But comparing guys that play like LeBron plays with them, however you want to put it. LeBron is a superior athlete to all three of them. I'm going to acknowledge that part. But I think Magic Johnson will forever be ahead of LeBron James on any and all list because in 12 short seasons, Magic Johnson already was a five-time champion at the conclusion of his ninth season. After 12 seasons, he had already been to nine NBA finals, winning five of them, and he went through the icons of the era. Dr. J, Julius Irving,
Yep.
Zeke, Isaiah Thomas, the second
Well,
best point guard of that era, and of course, Larry Bird. And you
yeah.
talk about super teams. That was a super team in Boston. The only thing is they weren't dipsetting and going places. For the most part, with the exception of aging Bill Walton, they all started there.
They all started it.
And
Yep.
he lost to Michael Jordan
Hmm.
post Showtime Lakers. I try to clarify that. That was not Jabbar. There
No,
were missing pieces on that. And you didn't even have Riley anymore. You had Mike Dunleavy.
like done it. Yeah.
So it's not the same thing. I'm not going to dilute Michael Jordan's first championship because they still did it. The Lakers were still a damn good team. I think they won 69 games that year or 67. I think they won 67 games that year.
Different games.
They
Yeah.
were a big surprise. It was considered an overachievement that the Lakers made the finals in 91. We all know what happened next. Unfortunately, Irvin walked away from the game with the contraction of the HIV virus. Had it happened in today's times, he could have kept playing another 8 years or so.
Yeah.
You might have seen Magic play with Kobe and Shaq. That would have been cool.
Oh man.
Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant as a baby, was in attendance for Magic Johnson's first basketball game ever in the NBA against the Philadelphia 76ers, as Jelly
Man.
Bean Bryant, the father of Kobe, played for the Sixers. A lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
Kobe was meant to be on a basketball court since he came out of the womb. Rest in peace, Kobe. The point I'm making
Mhm.
is it's subjective.
Yeah.
I'm not into comparing centers and guards. I'm not into this, that, and the third. But sometimes common sense overrules.
Right.
Um, LeBron James is a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Having said all that, winning is the ultimate stat.
Right.
And Magic
But
Johnson and Michael Jordan
one.
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Tim Duncan did that at a much better ratio than LeBron James.
I agree. And my thing with the LeBron thing, and I
And
tell
so
people,
did Steph Curry.
yeah, my thing with the LeBron thing, and like I say, eventually I'll put up my top 10. I don't have him in my top five, and I have good reason why I don't. And one of the reasons is, I said, what did you do with what you had when you was a leader? I'm not talking about when he joined Wade. I'm not talking about when he went back to Cleveland and brought in all these other players. What were you? I always say LeBron's best accomplishment was 2007 when he took that team to the NBA Finals. Yeah, they got swept by San Antonio, but I say that was his best because that team wasn't loaded with nothing. So With that being said, who was Jordan had Pippen? Yes, he did have Pippen, but Pippen was brought in. Pippen was
Pippen
drafted,
took time to develop, as did Horace Grant, because those were his two and threes
and they were
on that
drafted.
team. The
They were
first
drafted.
three-peat, Grant was the third best player. His absence was shown in full bloom when they didn't have Rodman yet, and the
Mhm.
Orlando Magic destroyed the Chicago Bulls on the glass, a series that a lot of people seem to forget, where Penny
Yeah,
Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal took over in the fourth quarter, Game 6 in the United Center, and kicked the Bulls out. That loss propelled Michael Jordan for a different level of motivation
yeah.
to rally himself as an athlete, as a player, as a perfectionist, and go on another three-peat run. But that doesn't happen without the ass kicking that Orlando gave them.
I'd say basketball. I need to see leadership. You did not win until you went and joined Wade, who had already won a title. Chalmers, who already won a title. I mean, not Chalmers, Haslam. Then you had Chalmers there. You brought in um, Battier. You brought in Mike.
GP and White Chocolate was around. Actually,
You
White
brought in,
Chocolate, excuse me, White Chocolate was the first Wade championship.
yeah, but you brought in all these guys in, and you won. You went to the Lakers. I mean, you went to, back to Cleveland. You brought in Richard Jefferson.
His best work, his best work was going to the finals
Mhm.
with a Mike Brown coach team with the likes of
That,
Anderson Varejao,
yep,
Zadrunas Ilgauskas, Boobie
yep,
Gibson, Delonte West, those guys.
yep.
That's when I
I,
legitimately was a LeBron fan.
I wasn't a big fan of him, but I was
I
like, okay,
liked
this
what
is
he was doing with what he had, but
yes,
it wasn't that he left Cleveland even. It was the manner in which he left Cleveland. Because if we're doing
but
revisionist history, if the
and
New
so you know
York
what?
Knicks did not give Amare Stoudemire that ridiculous contract, unbeknownst to many, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James wanted to both leave their comfort zones to make it a 50-50 sacrifice.
Right,
But when the Knicks overplayed their hand and paid Amare,
yeah,
that complicated the mission to bring in LeBron.
right,
And that is why Wade and LeBron were not Knicks, because it
right,
very well could have went down that way. And a lot of people don't realize that the missing ingredient was Chris Bosh.
right.
Let's say hypothetically, if the Knicks would have brought in a Chris Bosh earlier, that probably happens. There's a lot of, but the Knicks weren't doing business right that way. No knock on Amari Stoudemire. He was a good Knick, but
Right.
the Knicks had a terrible habit of signing big men with pre-existing conditions. They did it with Antonio McDyess. They
Hmm.
did it with Amare Stoudemire. And no knock on the greatest Knick of all, Patrick Ewing. But if we're doing revisionist history, the Knicks could have traded Patrick Ewing when he still had something to give and gotten something respectable for him, as opposed to that atrocity when he got traded to the Seattle Supersonics. Now, granted, Patrick Ewing brought that on himself,
Yeah.
talking through the media. I mean, he was a very prideful man. But,
Yep.
that's just the Knicks nicking, because back in that era, after Ernie Grunfeld got out of town, shit went south.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yep.
my point being is my top three basketball players of all time in the NBA, in no particular order, because that's showing the respect to the other two guys that don't get enough love. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. Those are the three greatest basketball players in my genuine opinion. Now, Bill Russell
Yeah.
has all the rings, and no knock on the great Bill Russell. I would probably slide him into my top 10 to 11 just out of respect alone, but
Yeah.
I don't think Bill Russell dealt with the levels of competition that these other men had.
Right on.
But
And see that
I still respect the hell out of Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain.
that's my thing with LeBron. Um, when you went to the Lakers the first year, you had regular players and they didn't do well. But when you got sat at the end of the season, the team played better. Then you bring in Rondo, you bring in Anthony Davis, you bring in Dwight Howard, you bring in all stars to help you win. That's not
Correct.
leadership. So that's my problem. And if you notice, when those guys left, the Lakers has been okay. But when he sits, the team does better. I can't put him in my top five. I need to see what you would have done if you were the lead.
I
You didn't
also
have
want to revisit. I also want to revisit the rookie years. of Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron James. I'm not here to debate if LeBron James is better than Carmelo Anthony. He is. He's also
Right,
better than Dwayne Wade.
right.
However, that particular rookie season, I think Carmelo Anthony got gypped out of the rookie of the year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He did. He did. That was made for LeBron, and everyone knows it, except for his fans. But if you look at the stats, you look at everything. Carmelo won that.
I'm
Carmelo
with
won
you.
that. Carmelo won
I'll give James a logical argument for the sheer fact that you could probably say that Melo had a better situation in Denver, but then again, him and George Karl were like poison for each other. They did not get along. So there's a lot of ways to look at it revisionist history. At the end of the day, Wade and LeBron are both better players than Carmelo Anthony because of the sheer fact that Carmelo Anthony never made a commitment to being a better defender.
that. Right.
And just
Exactly.
overall, they were better ball players. Carmelo's still a Hall of Famer. Carmelo's still a legend in his own right, but
Yeah.
Carmelo is not on the level of those two guys, nor Chris Bosh for that matter, if I'm really going to be fair.
No. But
Because
see,
Chris Bosh, what people forget, him and Kevin Love made huge sacrifices as teammates of LeBron, where they were bona fide superstars, where their stats were taking a hit for a greater good of the team. Kevin
yeah,
Love, people forget how good he was.
2020 guy.
Hell yeah.
He was getting 20 points and 23, literally 20 rebounds a night.
And he could shoot behind the arc.
Yeah.
Great basketball acumen, probably the best passer from one side of the court to the other.
Yeah. And see, that's my point. And a lot of people, oh, you hating on, I am not hating on LeBron. I'm going by what was going on. I'm going by every metric. I don't care that he got 40 plus thousand, 50,000. I don't care about that. That's a longevity record. I don't care.
That's a longevity record. Same thing could be
What
said about the Brady
did,
Montana debate forever and ever.
what did you do when the chips were down? You scored 4 points in the fourth quarter 4 times in the NBA Finals.
Idris, how many years was Karl Malone the number two scorer in NBA history behind Jabbar where Jordan was three? I don't ever
Oh,
remember somebody telling me that Karl
mm-mm.
Malone was the second best NBA player because he had a points record, but only behind Kareem and barely above Jordan at the time. Because remember,
Mm-mm.
Jordan retired multiple times.
Mm-hmm. And see, I don't. And see, that's what I mean. I need to see what you do when it goes down in an NBA Finals in fourth quarter games. He did not show up. You are the star. You did not, and this is what see what they said. You did not show up. I don't remember when Jordan didn't show up in a fourth quarter in the NBA
Yeah,
Finals.
and the same can be said for Magic. Magic is a rare case
Mm-hmm.
because Magic is one of the few players in any and all eras of NBA basketball where he could completely influence the outcome of a game without doing anything scoring wise. But Magic was always a capable scorer. But the way that he was able to get everything out of guys like Byron Scott,
Mm-hmm.
Mikael Thompson, of course, Jabbar, James
Norm,
Worthy,
everybody, yeah.
Norm Nixon in the beginning, a guy that they didn't get along well, and eventually Nixon got shipped out. But the point is, Magic Johnson to me is better than LeBron, and I might get a lot of heat for this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Magic Johnson was a friggin' Finals MVP as a rookie playing center for an injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the Philadelphia Spectrum
And he
against
was
the legendary Julius Erving. Are you kidding me?
4 games to two. And see, that's what I say about Wade.
And if it was not a big deal, how come nobody's done that since? That was the beginning of the '80s, bro.
And look at Wade. Wade, that final, Shaq was hurt. Wade carried that team in the playoffs. And people don't look at people say LeBron. Look, what Wade did with that Heat team, he carried that team, man. He picked up the
It's the
slack.
same thing that I say for people that talk about the Kevin Durant legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That was Steph Curry's team, no matter what way you slice it. That
What?
was Steph Curry's team. He took a backseat for the betterment of the team, just like Aaron Judge did with Juan Soto.
Yep.
That's what leaders do. But
That's
Steph
what.
Curry's legacy to me will always be above Kevin Durant's because when Kevin Durant was in BK, he got close, but he didn't get it done. And when he was
Nope.
close in OKC, he left to go join a super team when he already had a budding super team in his own right with Russell Westbrook as well as James Harden. So
There
that's
were
what I
three.
got on that.
It was 3 games up, 3-1 up on Golden State,
Absolutely.
and he left. Dude, y'all could have came back. and probably beat them the next year.
But yeah, but to leave and go to Golden State, that is like crazy work, bro.
That's why. That's why I tell people, and they say, "No, you hate." No, no. When it comes to sports, I'm a realist. This is why I say a lot of players in today, excuse me, in today's league, I wouldn't put in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I
I would
mean,
say they were great
Idris.
players. I
Here's
call
a
them great
name,
players. Yeah.
Patrick Ewing. I'll just throw it out here, Patrick Ewing. After it
Mm-hmm.
was clear that the Knicks just couldn't beat the damn Bulls,
Mm-hmm.
but Ewing had an opportunity to join the Bulls,
Yep.
and Jordan wanted him to join the Bulls. People forget they were great friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Fierce competitors were great friends.
Ewing wouldn't do that.
No.
Reggie
You heard
Miller
what
to the Knicks, he wouldn't do that.
no. You heard what Magic said. He said, "No, I want to beat these guys. I want to beat these guys."
It was a
You
different
know,
era, man. And I get it. Barkley moved around a little, but it wasn't the same thing.
Barkley was Philly got tired of Barkley.
Barkley did have a little mercenary in him at the end, but it wasn't the same. Now, Shaq was a mercenary.
Yeah.
I will say that. Shaq was a mercenary.
Yeah.
However, if the Lakers were willing to deal with Shaq longer, Shaq never wanted to leave LA. And as a older player, or even removed from the league now, one of Shaq's career regrets was leaving Orlando before delivering a title because he himself said that what Penny and Shaq had going, it could have been Magic and Kareem.
Yeah. He did.
One of the biggest
Man.
what ifs in NBA history. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the injuries don't come to Penny, but
Yeah.
but having more pressure and being the number one after Shaq left, it changed the dynamic of so many things. I don't know if Shaq stays, if things would have been different because he still had to deal with the Bulls. But until next time, he is Idris. I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point to like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Check out Old Man Energy, Volumes 1 and 2. Idris put out some great music. You can check that on all streaming platforms. Idris, any last words?
Come on, baseball. Hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Hurry
Oh,
up.
real quick, let me put this out real quick. My predictions for the World Baseball Classic today and tomorrow. I've got the United States defeating the Dominican Republic by a score of 7-6 today. And I've got Team Italy defeating Venezuela by a score of 5-3 tomorrow, setting up a rematch for Italy and the United States to win it all. The United States' one blemish was against Italy. Maybe they get revenge in the final, but that's what I got.
You know what? If you said Italy and Venezuela would be competing and going to the final, man, you smoked a little bit too much
Indeed, indeed.
You smoked a little bit too much today. But
But
yeah,
the Dominicans have a phenomenal team, but I
yeah,
want this one real bad because Juan Soto's on the other side, and I want Aaron Judge to beat Juan Soto.
yeah. I don't want to go with nothing. I'm with you.
Knicks today by 15 or better. OKC by 7 or better. And that's all I got for today. Announcements to come for our next show. We're going to be ramping it up with the NFL draft around the corner. It's mock draft season. We're going to start implementing mock drafts into our show. And if you've been with us for the last couple of years, usually we do literal mock draft shows. Like the whole show
Yeah.
is a big ass mock draft. So pack a lunch and join us.
Oh yeah.
We out.
Yes, sir. Peace.